Hi, dear.
How are you?
So let's. He's beautiful, right? He's beautiful.
Oh, shut up.
Okay, so I want to talk about. Let's just start at the album title, "Death of a Bachelor."
Yeah.
Are you grieving?
I'm actually celebrating. I know it's misleading, but instead of calling it, Brendon moves forward as a new guy, it just sounded better as Death of a Bachelor, like killing off my old ego. That's what it was.
Okay. Now, in listening to this album, I'm sure you guys have dug into it. That Sinatra tattoo, what, here, where? Yeah. That has literally and figuratively gotten into your blood on this album.
I've got him under my skin.
Hey-o! Thank you very much, Dan. Nicely done.
My dude.
Hey. No, tell me a little bit about that, because obviously you're a fan.
Obviously.
But why is this the right album to really dive into that?
It felt like, I've been wanting to do this for 10 years, to take you take your influences, your inspirations, the people that you look up to and you want to mimic, and then finally I figured out a way for me to sonically replicate, not really replicate, but use it in my own way. I wanted to take what I've learned, who inspires me, and then push it into a different direction that makes me feel excited about what I'm writing,
Okay. Now,
yeah.
We approve of this answer. Now, I also read somewhere that the last album was kind of more of a love letter to Vegas.
Yeah.
This album more of a love letter to L.A.
True.
Old home, new home.
Yeah, that's really what it was. I mean, last album I wanted to talk about where I'd come from, because I hadn't really had the chance to do that, and specifically talking about Las Vegas. It's just so much history and so much passion for that city just growing up that I didn't appreciate when I was growing up there. So being able to look back, fond memories, and be able to tell that story. And now I've been in LA for over 7 years, and I have a new story to tell, and that's exactly what I want to do. Yeah.
So do you have to keep moving to inspire new albums? Or
I do. I have to. I mean, look at me. I can't stand still on stage. I got to keep moving.
You gotta. Just out of curiosity, what's another city that really inspires you? And you're not obligated to give any of those answers.
I mean, for obvious reasons, we're talking Sinatra, New York. When the first time I showed up here, come on. No, really, like this is the city. Like the first time New York was on the map for me was Home Alone 2, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. This is like a scary city. And then as I got older, for different reasons, I got into Frank Sinatra, and then started realizing like the beauty behind it and the history and all of that. So it's always held a special place in my heart. First time I played here was at a place called Knitting Factory. It's not there anymore, and it was with this band that's not a band anymore. And it was just really crazy, and I still think about that time, just being green to everything, and now, 11 years later, being here and seeing all you beautiful sons of... I love it. No, it's great.
Well, look, let me, we'll talk a little bit more. You guys will scream a little bit more, but let's let you guys play and get back into it. You good with that? All right.
Into it.
Panic at the Disco. Not an album of mourning. Okay, so now we're all clear. Okay.
Parties all the time.
Because it seemed so mournful when I listened to it. That last track that we heard, there's B-52s.
Yep.
Rock Lobster.
Rock Lobster, baby.
I also heard Chicago in the album.
Oh, yeah. Hallelujah.
So how do you work these in? Do you hear these songs and you think, oh, I want to take a piece of that? And it builds from there? Or
yeah, that is kind of how it works.
Tell me about the process.
Like, when I'm working on songs, I spend a lot more time just listening to music, just trying to soak it all up. And usually the moment that happens where I get really inspired, I use that song. If I'm feeling that inspired. So, for an instance, like Hallelujah, I was listening to Chicago. Yeah! I was listening to, I don't know what that was. I was listening to Chicago. Listening to Ja for singing. I was listening to Chicago, and I heard that, Question 67. I was really inspired by it, and I wanted to sample it. And it's usually just there as a placeholder. For instance, like Rock Lobster. I put it there as a placeholder because it inspires me to want to make a song like that. I want to make a party song, and that's a great party song. So
totally.
Luckily, yeah, they let me use it, which is great.
And if you don't know about Rock Lobster, dig
Get
into
on
it. Because you will like Rock Lobster. So of this album, and I know it's kind of hard to make these choices because it's still kind of fresh. You haven't lived with them and let them grow on stage just yet. That will come. what is your favorite track right now?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a couple. Yeah, House of Memories is one. I think, yeah. Death of a Bachelor, the title track is really personal to me. I mean, I wrote that trying to do, yeah, thanks.
Well, you named it that.
I mean, yeah, I wanted to, yeah, exactly. It tied everything together. I was trying to write a Sinatra song, and it ended up, not working out. I wanted to do like a Nelson Riddle arrangement. I'm like, I never went to Berkeley for composition, so I don't know what I'm doing. But I do know how to make tracks and produce that kind of thing, so that's what I did. I took my strengths and I put them together, and it somehow worked out. Did the Beyonce Drunken Love beat, and then I put it with the...
So
my queen!
What was the hardest one for you to put together?
Oh, man.
Which was the one that you were like, forget it. No, this is not happening.
Actually, Emperors took me a while.
Really?
I was getting really frustrated. I started that like in the first month of writing for the album, and it took me about a month to finish that one because I had, the verses and the choruses and stuff, and it was still missing a third portion to tie it all together. And the bridge, I had to turn to Queen, who's another inspiration and influence.
Yeah!
So I turned to Queen, and
always turn to Queen.
Always turn to Queen. When in doubt, turn to Freddie Mercury. So I went to, listening to how Freddie and Roger Taylor combined their voices to build these amazing harmonies. So I stacked myself like 38 times in the bridge. It's like that, mortal kings are ruling, So it's like really crazy. And that was, it just made me so excited again about the song. So I was getting to that point as an artist where you get really frustrated. You're like, it's never going to be a thing. I'm not going to finish it.
Right.
And that helped me finish it.
Awesome.
But it took a while.
Well, now we have more respect for that song. All right, well, let's, again, dig back into the good stuff.
Sure.
More from Panic at the Disco. Go live. Again, my name is Wendy Rollins. Death of a Bachelor is out now. Tour has been announced.
Crazy.
It's going to be huge.
Oh, my goodness.
So, on the subject of a tour, there's a lot of horns on this new album.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a brass section on the road with you guys?
So, I've talked about it. We'll see. I'm trying to hire a trumpet player, trombone, and a Barry sax. We'll see what's going on, though. I really want to. I mean, it's been a while since I've, hired... yeah, you play? You're going to have to audition. Okay,
there you
cool.
go.
All right,
Hired.
cool.
Okay, great.
No, hired on the spot.
We can
Boom.
make it work. Okay,
Hired.
done. Also, I wanted to ask you, there's a lot of theatrics to this album. There's a lot of theatrics to a lot of Panic at the Disco, but this one in particular, I started to think, would you guys ever consider going the Green Day American Idiot route? Full-on musical?
I mean, that's a dream. That would be amazing. I'm such a huge fan of Broadway and musicals, and to combine the two would be phenomenal. Yeah, I would love to. I have no plans yet, but it takes, like a day to write a Broadway play, right?
Sure. I mean, like a half an hour or something like that.
Yeah, it's not that crazy.
Sketch something out, a little screenplay.
Super easy.
Done.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to ask you, how was the process working with Mr. Rivers Cuomo of
my
Weezer?
goodness. Okay, Rivers, the first time I met Rivers, he was at his house, and the band had just had this whole deal happen. We broke up. And so basically, I wanted to step out of my comfort zone. I was really like a recluse. So the first time I met him, he invited me over to his house, and he was so warm and just welcoming and doing the Japanese thing. So I took my shoes off, and I got to his house, and I was like, this is beautiful. And he was just, hey, do you want to go out to my studio? We're going to go...
He's very soft-spoken.
He's very soft-spoken.
I did an interview, and I'm like, are you still there?
Did you answer the question? I don't know what you said. Yeah, he's a brilliant man. And halfway through writing this song with him, I was like, listen, dude, it's eating me up inside. I have to tell you that I idolize you. I learned how to play drums and guitar to Blue Album and Pinkerton. You are you are just so inspirational to me. And that's it. Let's get back to work on the song. Boom. He was like, no. Let's talk about this. And so we sat there and talked about. He was like, I like your band. I think you're great. And we should work together more. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So he's a really sweet guy, down to earth, and really fun to work with. And the way that Victorious came about, I was in the studio, and I had the song written, but there was one part that was missing, and I had it playing, and actually the guy that helped me produce this album, Jake Sinclair, was also working. Yeah, he was working on the Weezer album, and so Rivers called him, and I had the song playing in the background in the studio, so very loud, and he picked up, and Rivers was like, what is that in the background? And so he's like, I'll put you on speaker. He's like, hey, Brendon's here, all the people. I was like, hey, man, we're working on this song. He's like, yeah, can you email me that little bit without a melody on it? And I was like, yeah. And so I emailed him the song, and not even 5 minutes later, he sent over this thing, and I was like, what the? Like, this is the thing. This is the
That's
thing that I've been
Rivers.
missing. I know. He's just like on the spot.
He's like,
oh, I have a really brilliant idea. I was like, of course you do, dude. Jeez.
Done.
Yeah. So it was like really that organic and just that blew my mind, you know, and that opened my world to just how to write. You know, you don't have to sit down to co-write. It doesn't have to be work. It can really just be this beautiful thing that happens sometimes, you know.
A product of your new relationship.
I love Rivers. Yeah.
Well, look.
He's a great
then
man.
let's hear the song. Yeah.